now. So, good morning. My name is Frances Rayner, and I'm the Community Development Manager for Alive West Norfolk. And I'm here today. Well, I've been filming a series of videos with local fitness professionals where we've been talking about specific topics, which I hope people are going to find helpful in their journey on our Active 150 Challenge. So the Active 150 Challenge is up and running this week. If you haven't heard about it yet, then head over to our Facebook page, Alive Community Development, where you can see all the information. It's not too late to start. It will never be too late to start in January. So you can pick up with us at any time you want to. But yeah, so head over to the page and have a little look. So with me today, I've got Naomi Goddard. So welcome, Naomi, and thank you so much for talking to me this morning. Naomi is she's recently graduated with a dance degree. And she has her own business in providing accessible dance and movement classes. She has a particular interest in older people's activities, and that's the topic that we're going to be talking about this morning. So it's all about moving as we age and how important it is as we get older. So welcome, Naomi, and again, thank you. So my first question, Naomi, we get stuck straight in. So my first question for you this morning is, why should we continue to move as we get older? You know, I know that, you know, older people that are around me, you know, say they feel more tired, you know, their bones are weary, their muscles ache a little bit more. But I think there's some real importance, isn't there, in carrying on with physical activity as we get older?
Absolutely, yeah. Because your body starts to stiffen up quicker as you get older, which means you almost have to do more than you would before. And it helps you keep that little bit of independence as you go on. So being able to do a day-to-day task like making a cup of tea, that's really important. And you want to be able to keep like your independence for as long as possible. And also there's that thing of the healthier your body, the healthier your mind. So being able to just keep doing something so you don't then lose it and find it harder to get back into it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mind thing is really interesting because I think you take the current situation we're in at the moment, Naomi, and I've got a lot of young friends, people my own age who are working, who are maybe furloughed or are really struggling with the current climate. But I think older people, just because you're retired and you maybe don't go out to work anymore and you're not faced with those challenges, I think as an older person, you are faced with challenges that mentally can be draining, can't they? And physical activity is a real kind of, I suppose, medication for that, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's so much easier to become isolated if you're not having to go to work or you're not doing your work Zoom calls or whatever. So being able to move with someone else, or even just put something on YouTube or something, it's so important because it's that connection, because it is so easy to become isolated.
Yeah, definitely. So with an older person sort of taking up exercise, maybe they've exercised, let's take the person who's exercised all their life. Is it important to slow that exercise down as they get older, or should we just plow on and do what we've always done if we can still do it?
I think if you can still do it, then absolutely doing it. If not, then scaling it back a little bit, but still keeping it as something that you enjoy, because there's no point doing it if you don't enjoy doing it. So it's finding that thing that you enjoy.
Yeah, and maybe also looking for things that are slightly different to what we've done before. I mean, I've got a few friends that are, you know, they've pounded the streets for years, you know, running, you know, and now as they've got older, they're kind of still out there, but they're doing a bit of run walking instead, you know. So it's that kind of thing, is it? It's adaptation, I suppose.
Yeah, because we naturally adapt as we get older, so having our exercise adapt with us is just as important.
Yeah. Would you, I mean, I've always, all the stuff I've done around physical activity, we talk about reversibility and about how when you stop exercising, you can quickly reverse your fitness levels, and it can be quite hard to then bring those back to where you want them to be. And that's exactly the same for as we age as well, isn't it? That if you do stop because you think, I'm getting older, mentally you don't want to do what you've done before, picking up that fitness, it can be hard, can't it?
Sorry, my Wi-Fi keeps dropping out.
That's okay. Did you hear?
Shall I back now?
Okay. So I was talking about people's fitness levels that have maybe reversed, because reversibility is quite quick, isn't it? That, we reverse, you go from being quite fit to suddenly not feeling so fit. That's the same with older people, isn't it? It's that old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it, would you say?
Yeah. Because like even now I haven't danced in a studio for 6 months or whatever, and I'm like move and I'm like, oh, creak. So it is that if you've got to keep using something to have it, essentially. So yeah.
And I'm like, you talked about making a cup of tea, it's all those basic things, isn't it, as we age, that you want to be able to keep doing, and independence as well, which is really, really important. Yeah. So we may have some listeners out there that have, they're getting that little bit older. I'm not going to mention any age because I think we're, age is all relative, isn't it? But I think, as we get older, they maybe sit and listen and think, well, I've never really exercised, and I'm heading towards 60. I might even be in my 70s. Never really done a lot. I mean, is it safe to start at that age? And if so, how can people get started?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're 90 or even older, like it's safe at any age as long as you listen to your body. So just starting small is probably the most important thing. Like you could just be sat in the chair watching the telly and start moving your shoulder, moving your arm, and just march. Really important.
Yeah, we lost you there for a minute, Naomi. You just said the point where you said about, sitting in a chair, moving your shoulders. Are you able to just go back a little bit?
Yeah. So even if you're just sat in a chair, moving your shoulder, moving your leg, marching on the spot, whilst you're watching the telly or something, it's a small way to get back into it and just ease yourself in gently. Like you don't need to do anything massive, because to make a cup of tea you don't need to flap your arm up in the air or whatever. It's just gently easing yourself into it.
Yeah and getting some strength into your muscles, isn't it? And getting your muscles built up again to a level that you need to do what you need to do. So and I think with some of the other people I've been talking to this week, we've talked a lot about building a healthy habit. So if you little routine, maybe even if you're doing something in a chair, it's important to do it regularly, isn't it? And often, if you want it to keep working. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So if you have like a TV show that you watch every single day, doing something whilst you're doing that is an easy way to get it into your routine.
I think it's right. Good habits is important, isn't it? And those making those connections, I think, that's a good one. If you're watching a Loose Women, if that's something you enjoy, or Doctors in the afternoon, or whatever it is, then during that half an hour you could sit and do some gentle exercise, couldn't you? And before you know it, I mean, we're talking about the Active 150 is all about 150 minutes of physical activity a week for adults. If you're doing 15-20 minutes a day, that soon adds up, doesn't it? And you'll soon get to your 150 easily.
Absolutely.
So as an older person, then you're thinking to yourself, right, I really want to do something. I really can't get out of my house at the moment, because a lot of our older community are waiting for vaccinations at the moment. I think Naomi's throat. Oh, are you there, Naomi?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking our older community in West Norfolk, we've got a lot of people that are probably at home, they're not really going very far. Well, we shouldn't be going very far at the moment, should we, anyway? You know, so whatever they're going to do, it's going to be done on their own, whether it's going for, you know, going for a walk or whatever. But if they want to do something at home, you know, what tips can you give for them being able to find something on the internet that they might be able to follow, a routine or a workout or whatever?
I think, I mean, a lot of the good things that have come from COVID is there are a lot more online. So a simple YouTube search of maybe chair-based exercises or gentler exercises brings up quite a lot. I know one of the ones that has a really wide range of workouts is Joe Wick, the body coach. He definitely has like a lot. He has some chair-based ones, he has some that are slightly more active and for older people. So yeah, just a simple YouTube search brings up quite a lot of variety.
Yeah, and I think it is looking out for those names of people that you know, isn't it, as well. I think also, for our listeners, Active Norfolk, they have a really good database on their website of workouts to do at home, and there is some stuff on there for older people and some chair-based things as well. And yeah, and I think we were talking earlier, Naomi, weren't we, that you know, hopefully you might share something with us that we can put in the page as well, so people can have a little look at something that you might offer as well, which would be really, really good. Yeah, Joe Wicks, we shared one of Joe Wicks's videos last night on the page, because he does a lot of beginners, so he splits it, doesn't he, beginners, intermediate, advanced levels, which again is really helpful. Yeah,
he's got a really wide range.
Yeah. Okay, so Naomi, can you just tell our listeners a little bit more about you, what you do and what you're doing at the moment, and if people wanted to find you, how would they find you?
Yeah, so the main bit of my business is chair-based movements. It can be individual groups. I do like pairs and that, and it is just on Zoom. So it's dancing, dance and movement, a little bit of learning some sequences, creating some sequences, a little bit of improvisation, and it's very adaptable, so it is adapted to the individual. If someone needs more standing, then it could be all standing or all sitting or a mix of both. So it's really targeted at the individual. And then just to find me, it's just NG Creative Movement on Facebook, Instagram, my website. It's the same thing across everything pretty much.
Good. Okay. And you just said that they can, you know, if it's an individual wanting some support, they can contact you. I think Naomi's frozen again. I think, yeah. So so if it's an individual, they can contact you directly, or if it's somebody out there looking for I mean, again, for the future, really, at the moment, because group classes are all kind of at a standstill because of the COVID, but you know, for the future, people can note you down and, you know, sort of, if they have any interest.
I can also offer group ones on Zoom as well. Like, I've done a few of those. They work all right. They're not as good, obviously, as in person, but they do go okay.
Yeah, it's all about adaptability, isn't it? Especially, I think we've had to adapt so much this year, and if we haven't learned anything else, that's probably one of the skills we're all going to be better at in the months to come as well. So that's fantastic. So just to finish off today, I want just very quickly 3 top tips from you on older people getting active, moving more.
So starting small, finding something that you enjoy, and just
hello. So we got starting small, finding something you enjoy,
and then just listening to your body and taking it at whatever level your body needs.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Just to again, listening to you, one of the things you were telling me about earlier, Naomi, was about you've done quite a lot of work with stroke patients, haven't you, as well? Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that? Because I think we could also, you know, even if some of our listeners have partners, family members who have, you know, sort of suffered a stroke, and, you know, they're trying to get their sort of health back on track, you know, moving for them, you know, is really important as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of rehabilitation. And the thing with dance is that you don't necessarily notice that you're moving certain muscles until afterwards, and you're like, oh, okay, I've just moved that. So it can be like a fun way that you don't really notice that you're exercising as much. So yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah, yeah. You were saying that you'd done a bit of work with the stroke, was it the stroke unit at the hospital? Have you, or the
Yeah, there
Hunstanton
was,
stroke? Yeah.
yeah, the Hunstanton stroke group. I'd done a couple of group classes for them,
Yeah.
which worked quite well.
Yeah. So another good reason to get hold of Naomi. So if you know, and I'm sure if people have got any questions, you'd be happy for them to send you any questions over.
Yeah.
You know, I think a really important topic around, you know, people who have had a stroke and getting their life back on track after what I'm sure for some is a really difficult period, isn't it? When, you know, any loss of movement and that. Anyway, okay, so thank you very much, Naomi.
Thank you.
Apologies, we just had a little hiccup throughout the video. I think it's your internet connection,
Yeah, it
maybe,
kept falling
Naomi.
out.
Yeah, but you know, that's absolutely fine. We live in West Norfolk, we have rural communities. These things are what happen all the time. So I think we said earlier that, you know, we try to make it as professional as we can, but you know, we have to work with what we have. So no worries there. And anyway, I hope people have enjoyed listening to our chat this morning. Thank you once again, Naomi, for joining me.
Thank you.
And just one more shout out. So it's NG
Creative movement.
NG Creative Movement. So yeah, look up Naomi and see what she has to offer. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.